Alright guys, welcome to the After Hours Gaming League. We are here this week with Amazon and Ernst & Young. Ernst & Young, of course, we did get the pleasure of casting them in week 1. We'll see how they fare today. Spawning here in the top right corner of the map, though, we've got the Orange Terran, Amazon's Kayaks.
His opponent going to be spawning in the bottom left, the Protoss player. He is red. He is going to be none other than Andy, playing for Ernst & Young. And I actually have a little bit of information about our Amazon player, Rifkin.
Well, before you get into that, let's introduce ourselves real quick, so you realize I forgot to do that. So guys, hi, I'm Rifkin, aka Rif Kings. I'm here with Penguin from the team My Insanity. We'll be your casters here for today.
And yeah, I guess that just about wraps that up. I can finally do my little spiel about Kayaks. Now, Kayaks is apparently Amazon's best Terran, and he was on UW. I don't know which school that is, but he was on UW CSL team last year. And he is a pretty solid all-around Terran who likes his harass. So I would not be surprised to see maybe we can see some Hellbat drops, Rifkin. We've seen those work miracles in this matchup already in the first couple of weeks.
I was going to comment before, Ernst & Young definitely got to abuse the Terran favor in week 1. We'll see if they're prepared to deal with it here in this first game, as Andy's going to have his work cut out for him. We've seen the strength of Hellbats, we've seen the strength of Widowmines, and I know firsthand Ernst & Young has also felt that pain.
Yeah, Ernst & Young actually had a very interesting series. We cast Ernst & Young versus Google, if I'm not mistaken, in the first week. Oh, EUW is University of Washington. Thank you, Cicero. And anyway, so basically we cast Ernst & Young versus Google in the first week. And that was a very interesting series because there were 5 games. Every game had at least one Terran in it, and the Terran always won. So you're very right that we've seen a lot of harass coming out of the Terran players so far.
Yeah, this is only week 3, but like we've seen more Terran victories than any other race so far.
And I mean, we are starting out with a TVP, as we said, and Kayaks is already the best player coming out, the best Terran player rather coming out for Amazon. So he's definitely a strong player. But Andy as well is a strong player. He did suffer a loss versus Google, but showed a very, very good game. And this is Cloud Kingdom. It's a pretty good map for PvT in general. We've seen some very interesting games on this map already, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this game develops, Rifkin.
Yeah, I want to comment on, like, the thing I love most about the After Hours Gaming League is we've seen more new Heart of the Swarm units used in the 2 weeks we've been casting so far than in the pro matches we've cast. For example, recently we had a Beastie Cutie versus Machine Show match just recently, and I don't think we saw a single new Heart of the Swarm unit despite it being on Heart of the Swarm. Whereas you take the After Hours Gaming League, and these guys have no problem exploring the limits and testing all the new units. And I really like casting these particular matches because of that.
Very, very true, Rifkin. And just taking a look at this actual game, how it's evolving, we see a Kayaks going for a very fast third command center, something that is pretty risky in this matchup, but he has seen that there was in fact a Nexus that was planted long ago by Andy, so it looks like we are going to be seeing a bit more of a macro game. Definitely something that excites me. Maybe we'll get to see some of the fabled Sky Toss.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Terran have this really strong mid-game right now. There's no question about it. You can even count it as the early game, too, if you want to count Widowmines, but Protoss definitely have a very scary late game. If you let them get to that stage where there's even Tempest, Carriers, whatever you want on the field, as you said, Sky Toss, they are very difficult to deal with.
It does look like Andy is going to be avoiding Sky Toss for the time being anyway. He's going to be getting a Mothership Core, but he has the Robo facility on the way as well.
Well, Robo's always pretty safe. I mean, whether you're just getting an Observer out to scout or not, whether you're going for Immortals, we'll have to wait and see. But I do want to point out that Terran have a lot of cool new ways to deal with pretty much everything that Protoss has been given. Of course, the Oracles are a little bit questionable because they're very frustrating to deal with, but some well-placed missile turrets can shut them down very quickly. Thors, of course, now have the single-target ground-to-air weapons, which were really nice to have, although it does look like Kayaks is sticking towards Bio, so I'm going to stop that thought right there.
Rifkin, we have a 6-minute Robo Bay coming down from Andy. This is pretty interesting. Is he going to go super fast? Oh no, it's scanned!
It's scanned.
Oh, I'm interested to see what he's going to opt for here. He could go for some sort of War Prism drop with War Prism speed.
The question is, how has he seen this? How is he going to react to it, though? Because right now he's going for a bio composition, and a Colossus kind of counters anything that's coming out of these barracks anytime soon.
Yeah, it does look like he's going to be getting a second observer out. I'm really interested to see how he actually decides to use his Robobay. We'll be seeing that momentarily. It should be finishing up in about 5 seconds. He is still producing probes, though.
I would love for this to be like warp speed prism, warp prism speed. There we go. Now I know how to speak English.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be quite honest. I mean, the gateways are very, very late. There's no upgrades coming out of here, just out of Andy just yet. So, he's not utilizing that just yet, but warp prism speed would not surprise me here.
It would be really nice because, of course, the speed makes it near impossible to catch for these Marines, even while stimmed. But no, it is going to, in fact, be Colossus. Not a bad choice. Andy's sticking to his guns. He's like, all right, you saw me. Cards on the table. I'm still going to do it because Colossus are really strong units to begin with.
I think this is also I like this decision from Andy because had he gone for something like a warp prism this early, that's a little bit gimmicky. And Akax may well be ready for that. I mean, we see him spreading out his buildings along the sides of his main, making sure he has vision of everything. So I do like this idea to go into Colossus and more macro-style play here from Andy. I'll be interested to see whether he goes for a strong 2-base timing or whether he is going to be trying to take a third. I think at this point...
You have to remember, too, Protoss, like, beforehand right now with Colossus, you send them out and they die. A lot of people stay away from it because of that. If you don't have the support for them, they go down very quickly. However, with the Mothership's ability to recall, you can do some very nice hit-and-run tactics with Protoss now. I think we're going to see, as the game evolves, a lot more recall tactics from Protoss, especially with the early game harass. Maintaining those units is so important.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a couple seconds for the recall to actually sort of work, so you still have a chance to lose a couple units there, but as you said, the ability to save most of them is just so helpful. Wow, we actually see Akax putting up 2 more bunkers, so he is expecting a 2-base play, and that is what it's looking like at this point, just because...
the thing is, the bunkers are nice, but once that thermal lance comes into play, the bunkers are going to be somewhat irrelevant. I mean, they'll kind of delay, I guess, but the Colossus are going to just shell away from far.
Yeah, I do think we're probably going to be seeing Andy push out with these 3 Colossi. He's going to want to add on a few more gateways, though. He's only on 3 gateways right now.
He's not only does he need more gateways, he doesn't have units to support. He's got a couple sentries, so that's a good start. But you really need more than 2 sentries to support Colossus.
This is crazy. We have 6 bunkers up from Akax at this point.
And the
He's
thing is,
really playing defensively.
But here's the problem with this. Look at this big open place to the left. The 3rd base connection. Colossus can walk right up that cliff and bypass all of the bunkers. So I mean, he's turtling in, and he's doing it very well, but the problem is, it's Protoss. You know, he knows the Colossus are on the field, and you can't really bank on just one position holding.
And he has opted for the 3rd base at this point, so just playing a little bit safer there, and Akax is going to be throwing down his own orbital command that has been in existence for quite a while.
My concern for Akax, he's, like, everyone knows, like, there's this kind of general rule to thumb in the PvT, where it's like, the lower the encounter where you engage as the Terran, so like 100 versus 100 army, you've got a lot better chance of winning than a 200 versus 200 army. The Protoss will stomp you 200 versus 200. But in these lower numbers, there's going to be certain windows of opportunity for Akax to really move out, do some damage, whether it's drops, whether it's harass, because, you know, Andy's going to build up that critical mass soon, and this 3rd base is going to give him the economy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see 3 more gateways coming down now, so he is going to be adding on to that production capability, and there is a Twilight Council that has started as well, so looks like Andy does want to start going in the upgrades route. Upgrades are actually pretty late from both players at this point. We have 1-1 starting now for Andy, and Akax himself, does he have +1? Yes, he does, but he only has 1 engineering bay at this point, so he's just getting +1 armor at this point. Attacks are done, and combat shields as well on the way, so really upgrade heavy. We see a Templar Archives on the way, and just both players preparing for the late game.
And his War Prism filled up with 4 Zealots is starting to move out. There's that Factory Scout, kind of the world's strongest overlord, if you will, floating around the 3rd base right now.
I always found it funny that the most cost-efficient way for Terran to scout is to build a building and fly it over.
Well, I mean, like, prior to this expansion, you know, the Factory is really quite a useless unit in this matchup. I feel that Hellbats are definitely a huge asset, but Kayak's not feeling the same way, as he's sticking with a very bio-heavy army with a lot of Vikings.
What we're really seeing, which is kind of interesting, is we're seeing this sort of evolve into a very Wings of Liberty-esque type of game. We have a 4th base coming down now for our kayaks, and I mean, the compositions look like Wings of Liberty, just minus the Mothership core. Where is that, by the way?
It was floating around the 3rd a while ago. Where is it gone? It's a little scamp.
It is... No, it's just in the main now. It's just chilling over the warp gates.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. You can actually click on the units in the tabs at the top to take you right to them.
How cool is that?
Right? Blizzard is they're actually improving. Like, this is the thing. The community has been asking for these changes, and they're listening.
Okay, I just need to point out that awkward moment where there's a supply depot being constructed right next to a pylon. I like how both of these players are just sort of spreading out their supply depots and pylons. They've got really good vision of the map, but it is kind of interesting to see all of these little dots looking like a little bit like chicken pox just all over the map.
Yeah, connect the dots, draw the map out, pretty much. This warp prism has not been scouted yet, though. He's been hiding it very nicely, and if he can wait for long enough to kayaks to move out, yeah, he's gonna go in. He sees the armies in the middle of the map, and these 4 zealots are gonna do a lot of damage, Penguin.
Yeah, the missile turret is gonna start shelling. Wait, we have to unload that before it dies.
Oh no! Poor
Well,
Andy.
yeah, this isn't really going well. These zealots are going after the bunker. They should get the bunker, but I don't think they're gonna do any real damage here.
Well,
meanwhile, the army is gonna push.
Luckily, there's not 6 bunkers for them to have to walk through now.
Now, we are just seeing a bit of posturing right now. Not really any moving forward. Looks like Kayaks doesn't want to engage up the ramp, which does make sense.
Yeah, there's Templar with Storm, there's Colossus with extended thermal lance. There's no part of this that is looking good for kayaks.
He does have a lot of Vikings at this point. He's got 13 Vikings, and his bio composition is very heavily Marauders. He has 24 Marauders to 25 Marines, so it's going to take a while for even those really strong Colossi to chew through these, but there's Storm here as well.
Yeah, and Andy's got a monster bank. He can literally warp in 30 Zealots right now if he wanted to.
Good Storm's going down to the Vikings, Rifkin. Half health on half of them already.
Plus, they're going down now. Can he finish off these Vikings is the big question. They're a huge sink and part of the army, and they're completely denying any Colossus. Andy is going to try and continue building Colossus behind this, but can't really do it when there's that many Vikings on the field.
He has done very well with the Storms, though, being able to keep this army at bay with those Storms. And, well, he's actually taken out about half of these Vikings as well. I find it very interesting that he's continuing Colossus production behind this as well. Usually you will see players stop around 3 or 4, but this isn't exactly something we've seen all that often in Heart of the Swarm, so this may be a sort of new approach to an old tactic.
Yeah, especially after you lose so many like that. You know your opponent's got Vikings on the field. Usually you'll see people swap, okay, you know what? Immortals, Archons, anything but Colossus.
We do have a drop coming into the natural here. Kayaks finds the one blind spot in those cannons. There are Zealots being warped in. He shouldn't be able to do too much damage, but he will pick off a couple of workers and then boost on out with the Afterburners. Yeah,
but Afterburners, they used to be the emergency Afterburners or whatever they were called. It made more sense. Now they're the Ignite Afterburners. I don't know that I agree with that name change, but right there we saw the emergency use of them, I guess.
Yeah. Just taking a look at the way this game is evolving. We have a planetary fortress located at the 4th, and a Kayaks is actually maxed. The big problem for him, though, is that he is behind on upgrades. He has 2-2. It's 2-2 to 2-2, but his timing on 3-3 is about a minute behind. He does have a large number of Ghosts, though, and Ghosts are going to be very helpful into the later game. He's going to be up to about 10 now.
Yeah, it's all going to come down to those EMPs. Can you get the EMPs off before the feedbacks or the storms happen? We'll have to see who's got the better control. When it comes down to casting units, it's that next level of micro. You can't just storm and move. You have to split to avoid the EMPs. You got to make sure you don't go in too fast so you get sniped off. But in Kayaks, he's going to move out here.
Even upgrades at the moment. Oh, we saw a couple of EMPs go down, not
dirty
too
EMPs.
Successfully.
He does drain 2 of the Templar, so I mean it's not that big of a deal, but a drop happening at the main at the same time.
Now they are going for one of those forges, and they will get it. That's going to be pretty big. That is going to essentially even out these upgrades, and if he gets the second forge, that is really going to help out a lot, but I don't know, it doesn't look like
he should be able to shut this down.
What? That Marauder!
No!
Oh, he gets it!
What? I can't even believe that just happened. I thought he was going to save that. Alright, well, 2 forges being put down immediately in response. Andy's saying, alright, you got me. Alright, let's fix this.
We did see Andy harass with a couple of stalkers over at the 4th base, killing off a couple of workers. He's up to a total of 11 worker kills this game, so he killed off about 6 or 7 there, which is pretty nice. But now we're getting to the stage of the game where a Kayaks is just able to build 8,000 command centers and morph them into orbitals. But look at the bank that Andy has up. We have engagement in the middle of
every single Templar!
He has to get out of here right now, and we see, Kayaks is just going to be storming forward. Andy needs to try to get away with these units and just try to survive, but the problem is they have no shields. Only a couple of Zealots have shields, no energy on the Templar, and those Templar are going to be picked off. This is a huge win for Andy. For a kayaks, rather.
Yeah, and you really should have just turned those into Archons while running. It would have bought him a lot of time for his bigger units, but now he's losing everything to the Vikings. And those ghosts, the cloak on those ghosts was so good.
Gonna help. He only has 6 gateways.
Yeah, he's got quite a bank going for him right now, and he definitely could use some more gateways. There's no question about it.
Yeah, this really hurts, and I think a kayaks is just taking it. Andy just doesn't have the production capability to keep up with this. His only Templar with energy gets sniped. More Templar being warped in. I wouldn't be surprised to see those go Archons, but he is opting to keep them as Stormless Templar.
Even at this point, so many ghosts. I don't know that Archons would even matter.
Yeah, I mean, this game is getting a little bit out of hand now for Andy. A kayaks really far ahead, almost max, continuing pretty much only ghost production. He's up to a total of 12 ghosts with 4 more in production. And he's just upgrading away. He's ahead in upgrades now. Triple Colossus production, though.
But the Colossus production's kind of moot on account of the fact that Kayaks just still has a monster amount of Vikings on the field. In fact, he has 14 still.
And +2 attacks is going to be done for them momentarily as well.
Yeah, I mean, these Colossus, they're nice against the Bioforce, don't get me wrong. Andy's definitely making the right choice there, but he doesn't have anything to cover them. He doesn't have areas to stop those Vikings, and the Storms just haven't been enough.
Oh, Andy is about 3 seconds away from being mined out of his natural. He has 1 mining base. He does have a base going up in the bottom right as well as at the 4th location, but a kayaks is moving forward. He's maxed again, and he smells blood, Rifkin.
Kayaks is very relentless with his scans. I do want to say, like, from minute 1 in the game, he's been scanning when he's been available. But I guess
on
with
the
this
other hand,
orbitals,
he does have type orbitals.
Yeah, with this many orbitals, he's completely able to do that. Okay, the Colossus are being picked off before they can even do anything, unfortunately. Nice storms. But the ghosts still get out alive, cloaked too, and Andy doesn't have any detection for the penguin. He's so far away from the cannons. These cloaked ghosts will actually kill this army.
Yeah, this massive ball of Marauders is now moving into the natural. Down goes the Colossus. Everything else is falling, and I believe this is the end of the road for the first Ernst & Young player, Andy.
Yeah,
well,
mining stopping here at the natural too. He's gonna lose all these probes. I'll give notes. He tried valiantly, but it just wasn't enough.
I honestly think that if he'd gotten the additional gateways earlier, he may well have been able to mount an attack that was so powerful with that kind of a bank that he would have been able to take it. But he did not have the gateway production that he needed, and a kayaks pounced on that opportunity, and Andy is gonna suffer a bit of a loss there. DG called. Amazon takes a 1-0 lead.